Hello and welcome to new and returning viewers. Today we're saying goodbye to 2023, and I'll definitely be missing this planner as I love astronomy and the different constellations on the front of this. But we're moving on to 2024, and I'd shown this planner in my Living the Dream Takes Planning video, but then I hadn't started coloring it in yet, and I didn't have my months labeled yet. This particular planner you could start at any time as you add in your own dates. On the front, I have listed that it's from January to October 2024. And I've got the word goals listed there, and I'll write those out in the beginning. I like this particular planner because you have quite a bit of space for each day, and so this will likely become my planner as well as my journal to highlight things. I've also started coloring in the front cover. Let me know in the comments below, do you do the same as I do? First, I use a marker to outline the area, and then I fill in with pencil crayon. There are some things like the yellow beak and the heart that I just do with marker, but usually I outline first with a marker and then I'll color it in. And I'll have to see what I decide to do with the rest of my owl because some of the spots are just a little too small to do that. And I colored in my leaves with just marker. As I've also mentioned, and I have my little tray here, I enjoy my different smelly markers, so this is just a few of them. Because for me, coloring again is a complete experience. I also have my metallic pencil crayons. I also have another interesting set of pencil crayons that came with one of my coloring books. And these have two different colors on one pencil crayon. So they're rather handy, and I'm looking forward to starting to use them. So like I say, for me, the coloring and the journaling, it's all an experience. So I'm looking forward to getting started with this because also on the pages, I'm just looking because Tiki's headed this way. There are also things to color, and Tiki's now about to take off with my pencil crayons. Speaking of the whole experience, so I've just had to move those. I'm definitely looking forward to finishing this off. My owl in the back may end up being different colors than my owl in the front. So something a little fun and different to start off 2024. Something that I did mention in my reading wrap-up video is the new series that I'll be starting called Hoax or Holy Grail. This is a book that I made as I have my own book binder, and I just used some plain white paper for this one and cardstock for the covers. So this is going to be my planning, resources, ideas, and actions. Because as I did mention in 21 Rituals, thoughts without action equals nothing. So this is going to be my planning book for Hoax or Holy Grail. Right now, I'm doing my introduction video, and the only other episode I have planned right now is The Occult Project. That's from 1982, and I'll be reading a paper that I completed for my grade 13 culminating activity thanks to an open-minded geography teacher. As I come up with where I'll be going next, I'll have all of that listed here in the front. And I am with that series looking at not just covering different topics, but hopefully having some guests as well, perhaps on a live stream if that's possible, or I'll end up recording my interview with people and then uploading that at a different time. So I'm really quite excited to get this series started, and it's going to take a bit of work because I'll be looking at individual topics as well as listing all the different resources in the description box after so that people know where I got my information. And of course, as I learn new things or come up with different information, then if necessary, I'll make an updated video to make corrections about different things. Just as I did with the video where I thought I had captured a meteor, but thanks to Enzo and Karen, I managed to find out that no, it wasn't a meteor. It was, in fact, an airplane. And I'll leave a card to that video because it really was a good lesson in when I looked at it, this is what I thought based on what I personally knew. However, thanks to Enzo and the program that he mentioned, it actually could be proven that no, it was not a meteor, it was an airplane and had to do with the curve of the Earth, the time of day, and so many other factors. So with this series, I'm not just going to be going, here it is, and this is fact. I always encourage people, regardless of the video that I'm making, to continue looking at things, doing your own research, and by all means, if I'm incorrect about something, then feel free to let me know that. I don't have a problem with having someone give me updated, correct information because I do not want to be one of those people who is out there stating something that isn't correct. So if I need to make a correction, then I certainly will do that. In terms of the actual series, I'll be exploring various topics from A to Z. Much like my reading, it will cover fiction as well as nonfiction things. They'll be based on my opinions and findings. And as I said, I always encourage people to look further. When I'm able to interview people regarding the topic, of course, that information will come from their own experiences and research. So as I said, there's so much information out there. How do you figure out what's nonsense and what to believe? That again comes down to research, your own experiences, what you've looked into yourself. And I always encourage people to continue looking and researching because there's always new information and discoveries being made. So perhaps today it's considered fact, but in a few months from now or a few years from now, there are new things we'll discover. A perfect example, when I was growing up in the 1970s, the idea of talking to a machine and being able to put that picture out and other people being able to see it was the world of science fiction, as were other planets out there that could potentially have life and different dimensions was all in the realm of science fiction. It, however, is now everyday fact in 2023. So that's why I say it's important to keep looking, searching, and fine tuning what you believe and what you consider to be fact. As I also mentioned, I'll be including what I've researched, whether that's books or websites, a combination. I'll be listing those resources so people can certainly check where I've come up with my information, as well as talking to people in the different areas that I'll be discussing regarding these topics. I also want to make note that to me, Wikipedia and Facebook are not research. Wikipedia, I'm aware, keeps saying that their information is accurate, but when you consider the tens of thousands of pages that anyone can go in and change at any time, it's just not a source that I rely on. It may give you a starting point and some basic information, but I definitely encourage looking beyond Wikipedia. The same goes for Facebook. When I had an account years ago, I lost track of the number of times people would hit on an article, share it out. They either hadn't read the article or they weren't paying attention to the fact that what they were sharing was years old. So if you're going to be relying on stuff from Facebook, then check the source and the time that that information came from. Because again, you just don't know. There are some things that should have stopped going around ages ago, but unfortunately, because there's nobody monitoring or watching that, this false information just keeps going round and round and round. So I very much encourage check your sources and ask yourself, why are some people putting certain information out there? Because unfortunately, not everyone is trying to get the truth out there. What they're sharing isn't based on research or an educational background or experience with some things. And although they may sound like they're talking about stuff from a base of experience or knowledge, sadly, they're not. And the motivation for them discussing some things is questionable. So I always encourage people, be mindful, even with stuff that I share, be mindful and consider, does this make sense for you? Does it resonate with you? Different sources, of course, are going to your public library, whether you're getting a book, an audio book, and of course, talking to your librarians who can help you with so many different areas of research. So make use of that, especially when you consider a library card, at least in my area. I don't know about other areas, but in my area, a library card is free. Going to the library is free. Using their different things on technology is free. There's a whole wealth of information out there that doesn't cost you anything, so make use of it. Websites are another place to check out. Now, personally, I find the newer websites far too busy, and I'm not great with reading on a computer to begin with, but all those flashy ads and things chunked up between advertisements, I just don't have the attention span or the patience to try and dig through all that garbage. So I'm very selective about what kinds of websites I go to, and I'm looking for things that are written in a paragraph I can easily read or highlight and print the material off to read it. And that's just me. Other things are going to the specific site. So for astronomy, there's space.com that has a ton of information. There's the NASA site that has information. And of course, there's so many different things about NASA that you may or may not believe the information they share. But again, it comes down to questioning the sources you're referring to. And if you've referred to 3 or 4 different things, whether that's books, websites, specific sites, and a combination, if they're all saying the same thing, then there's a good chance that there's a grain of truth to that. If, however, you're noticing some quirks and tweaks between them, then that's when you start questioning and continue to look and research other areas as well. And of course, talking to people from the different areas of your interest. Another point I want to make in terms of doing research, Google is a perfect example. You can find a ton of websites, but even with that, keep in mind what you're researching. Perfect example there is the definition of a poltergeist. If you go to Google and type in poltergeist definition, it will basically tell you it's a noisy spirit, which is what most people tend to assume. And if you've watched some paranormal videos and other such things, that's what the vast majority seem to be going by. However, if you have read books like Poltergeist and the Paranormal, as I have, the definition by parapsychologists of a poltergeist is that it is psychokinesis, meaning there needs to be a human present, and it is that human with their thoughts literally affecting mind over matter. So they're moving things or making the thumps, that type of thing. And I wanted to point that out because, again, yes, Google is a huge search engine. There's certainly things that you can find out. But again, don't just go to one source. There are so many other places to find information. With YouTube, I want to point out, be aware before you're sending money to people or getting memberships. Take a look at the About page. Again, what's the motivation? Are people saying that, they're real paranormal? Or if you happen to go to their About page, are they upfront, as for example, Yasko, who clearly states on his About page his videos are based on spooky content. He doesn't pretend to be real. He isn't saying he's real. And yet, sadly, there are so many people who seem to think he is. That comes up to the viewer. Do your research, check things out before you're sending money, and then disappointed when you discover that that isn't actually the content that you were wanting to pay for. In the case of Yasko, if you're sending in money to support him to make entertainment videos, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's exactly what his channel is about if you enjoy watching that type of thing. That gives you a little idea about Hoax or Holy Grail, the kind of thing that I'll be delving into in terms of it will be researched versus just a general chat like I do with many of the books. Subjects, of course, will be going between ghosts and vampires. Do we create our reality with our thoughts? Talking about some different haunted locations, looking at Ouija boards, and so many other things. If that sounds of interest to you, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload content that may be of interest to you. I'll definitely be putting Hoax or Holy Grail in the title, so you'll always know whether it's an episode that I'm doing in depth or whether it's one of my book summaries, nature videos, or silly cat videos. I'm always very clear in my titles what the content of the video is about. I hope you're as excited about this new series as I am, and I look forward to seeing you and having you join me as we travel on this new adventure in 2024. Until next time, be sure to take care of yourself, and we'll chat soon.